So you were doing something similar with Ben, where you would go to colleges and do debates. What were some of the craziest experiences that you've seen?
I had one last night, actually. I was at Vanderbilt here, a local speech. Go in, nice packed auditorium, everyone looks good. I start to give my speech, and out pop these pro-transgender activists. They snuck in. They looked fine, but I don't know, they took their masks off, and they jump up. They all have signs. And the irony was, I was there to give a speech on settler colonialism. So I was actually kind of taken aback. And they were screaming something I couldn't quite tell. And I said, hold on, wait, who are you? And they said, we're the transgender people. And I said, well, it's always the pro-trans crowd. They are by far the craziest protesters I'd ever, the most violent, the most likely to threaten to kill you and everyone you know. And I mean, it's not even close. There's no other issue. Abortion, immigration, colonialism, nothing touches the trans issue. And so I said, okay, well, why are you protesting me? And it was because of a speech I gave at CPAC, the big conservative conference back in February or March, where I said that for the good of society, and especially for the good of the confused people who fall and prey to this confusion, transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely, the whole preposterous ideology at every level. Those were the exact words, because I've seen them written in print a lot now. I was accused of calling for genocide. I said, hold on. How do you get that? Rolling Stone accused me of that. Huffington Post accused me of that. Other outlet, Daily Beast, I think. And I said I called for the eradication of an ideology from public life. I didn't call for killing people. Where'd you get that? I said, in fact, I prefaced my statement with, for the good, especially of these people who identify as transgender, we got to get rid of this crazy idea. And so eventually all of those libelous outlets had to change their headlines.
I think eradicate is probably a heavy word to use. So I think eradicate, I usually think pests, or I think something in a house like ants. You have an ant calling you, eradicate the ants. Maybe eradicate was too strong of a word.
But you were talking about an ideology, and people thought you were talking about a population.
Yeah, I mean, you hear about eradicate poverty. Does that mean you're going to kill all the poor people? We're going to eradicate Nazism. Does that mean you're going to nuke Germany? I don't think so. Eradicate comes from radix. The Latin word radix means root. You can pull it out by the root, which is precisely what I was saying. I don't believe that it's a good idea to merely say, all right, we need to stop transing the 8-year-olds. We need to wait until they turn 9. The 8 is too young, but 18 or whatever, that's fine. No. Either a man can become a woman or he can't. And if a man can become a woman and vice versa, then we should trans the kids. If you can really be born in the wrong body, then for sure we should encourage gender affirming care or whatever else they call it. But if you can't, and we know that you can't, we know that a man can't really be a woman and vice versa, then we shouldn't tolerate it for anyone. It's not going to help anybody. In fact, the largest data set on this ever published just came out of the UK not long ago, and it showed that contrary to popular propaganda, the transgender transition does not alleviate any of the conditions of gender dysphoria. They looked at anxiety, suicidality, depression. They all remain the same, post-hormonal and post-surgical transition. And in one case, in the case of anxiety, it got worse. So I just looked at that in a sober way, and I said, oh, this ideology, which is fairly novel, poses a false view of human nature. It says that your body has nothing to do with who you really are. And so it's harming everyone, it's harming society, and it's harming the individuals who believe in it. So we got to get rid of it. And in America, we had never enshrined transgenderism in our law until about 8 years ago. And then some feisty radicals on the Supreme Court decided to start doing that, some legislators in North Carolina. But it's been bad for everyone, so let's just get rid of it.
So what happened with the protesters?
So the protesters shrieked and yelled, and I made my point, and then they just shrieked profanity at me because they don't have there's no argument. I don't think I'm overstating the case here. I don't mean to sound condescending or anything. There is no pro-trans argument. I've never heard a single persuasive argument. I doubt either of you could even think of one that you've heard that was in any way persuasive. And so they left, some voluntarily, some the police, were helping to get out if they were getting a little more violent. And then we went on with the speech, and I talked about the history of colonialism, which probably disappointed them, actually.
So is your view that would be body dysmorphia, where you believe you're born in the wrong body, and transitioning wouldn't help that solution, that instead it should be treated how else? If let's just say I'm in a male body, but mentally I think I'm female, how would you go about treating that?
Well, you're not in a male body. You are in part your body.
Yes.
So the human being is body and soul, hylomorphic being combined, right? So what these people believe is that it's a view once called Gnostic dualism, the idea that the soul, the metaphysical self, is opposed to matter, to the body, and that matter is bad and metaphysics is good. And this heresy has cropped up a number of times in history, and it's always been put down, thankfully, because it would destroy civilization. So what would I tell a person who's confused? I'd tell him the truth. That's what I would do. What would you tell an anorexic? An anorexic comes to you. She's 89 pounds. She says, I'm so fat, I just got to put down the sandwich. Would you say, well, to be charitable and to help to affirm what you know yourself to be deep down, yeah, fatty, put down the sandwich. No, you wouldn't. You say, no, you're deeply deluded and you're at risk of a lot of health problems and even death. And so, no, you just have a defect of your perception, and we're not going to indulge that. We're going to correct that. And that might be hard for you. You might never get over that temptation to starve yourself, but we're not going to help you do it.
Yeah. So your answer would be, in that case, therapy, of going through maybe self-acceptance, or
my answer would be
acknowledging.
Therapy is one way you could do that, though that's a little bit dangerous now because there's so many quack therapists who will affirm these delusions. I guess I would just broadly say I would tell people the truth. And you get the truth a lot of different places. You get the truth from talking to your friends. You get the truth from talking to your family. You get the truth from talking to a psychotherapist. You get the truth from talking to a priest. You get the truth from talking to your guidance counselor. I don't know. But what we have now is a regime that insists to all of those people that if they do not tell a lie, they will be punished. The parents, the teachers, the psychotherapists, they'll lose their accreditation, they'll lose their license. And so I would not only encourage the culture to change, I would also change the law back to what it had always been.
What do you think the harm is to society in indulging in that? Because my belief tends to be, if it doesn't affect me and it makes someone happy, I don't really care. If someone wants to wear a suit every day, doesn't impact me whatsoever. If they want to wear a dress every day or dress, one gender, it doesn't affect me. So it's not really something that, I'm all for whatever makes people happy. How do you believe that is a detriment to society?
Well, society is not just about you, right? Society is about all of us.
Correct.
So even your premise, which is that leave me alone, you do what you want to do, I do what I want to do, we have nothing to do with each other. That is the negation of society, right? But furthermore, the premises are off because you say, well, if it makes someone happy. It doesn't make them happy. Happiness is not merely a subjective question. The anorexic might think that starving herself makes her happy. She'll tell you that, but it doesn't. That is not conducive to human flourishing. So that would be the first issue. The second issue then is the real harm felt by other people. I don't know, when Big Husky Hank walks into your little girl's bathroom, that's a problem. That damages her. It's scandalous. It's traumatic, and it can lead to sexual assault. And it has. This is what got Glenn Youngkin elected in Virginia. The Loudoun County schools had a transgender bathroom policy, and so some very confused young man went into a girl's bathroom and raped a girl. And what happened? What did the school do? They covered it up. Why? Because it was politically dangerous to touch the trans issue. So what did they do? They sent the kid to another school. And what did he do? He did it again. And what did they do? They covered it up again. So, for the victims of those people who were in harm's way because of trans bathroom policies directly, that would be a harm to society. The girls who train their whole lives to win scholarships in women's sports. We're doing a movie about this now, Lady Ballers. And then they lose their scholarships and they lose their medals. They just lose even the glory of the game because some husky dude who's sexually confused takes their trophy because men are physically stronger than women. That's a direct harm. I mean, that can be a real financial harm even to those girls. So there are all sorts of problems that come along with it. But at a deeper level, even beyond these material issues, living in lies is never going to allow your society to flourish. The further removed your society is from reality, the worse off it's going to be. The libertarian view that you've just articulated, which is, well, leave me alone. You do you, I do me. No one really believes that. You might not care about politics, but politics cares about you. You might not care about society. Society cares about you. We are not free-floating atoms in outer space. Man is a political creature. We are born not primarily with rights and entitlement, but primarily with duty and obligations. You didn't choose your life. You didn't choose how you came into the world. You're not going to choose, hopefully, how you leave the world. And so we need to recognize that we do all live together. We have to figure out how to live together. And we can live together either in accordance with truth that we can all perceive using our reason and objective reality, or we can live according to some kooky narrative of lies that we're constantly rewriting, where no one ever knows what everyone accepts and where the ground is basically quicksand.